Hi guys, kumusta yung masuki ko sa naman? Ay, can you guys see my screen? Guys, may pa ka. Hindi tayo na-start. Ay, so, Python. Um, One of the easiest blocks, actually. And I say that because there are so many resources for this. No? And it is a base or one of the most basic programming languages where most all other programming languages are based on, right? So this basically allows us to write programs. So everything that we use on our computer or cell phones are directly or indirectly um, influenced by Python or a programming language. So you are going to be able to execute um, file types, .csv and all that stuff via the programming language just together with uh, okay, 1 minute. Okay,
Hi, can you guys hear me now?
Yes, mentor.
Okay. Uh, Let me get everything situated here. Okay. So, like I was saying, your programming language is basically or basically influences everything that you do and you use on your cell phones or your computers. Okay. So it's ones and zeros translated into something that we can read. It's tangible, it's usable. Okay. So each language will have its own application. And this is just a quick diagram of the various applications and the languages that um, each application uses. So the most common, if you'll notice, is Python, JavaScript, C, C++, C Sharp, and Java, right? Um, a lot of the other languages are going to be very specific to the application. So, like, let's say blockchain technology. So, that's all of your Bitcoin and all of that. It will use a few others on the rightmost side that are not really common or as applicable to other of the applications. But you do have wait, what uses Python here? So cybersecurity, AI, so that's your chat GPT and all of that. Machine learning, which is going to be all of the prompts that you go through when you're chatting with a bot, that sort of thing. That's machine learning. Um Web development will be the most that uses Python because it's the simplest. But you'll see later on the hierarchy of or the ranking of the various programming languages. So they do have different levels, low level and high level. I'll leave you to read the image that's on this particular slide. But for the most part, Python actually falls under all of this for actually. Well, except for the high level language. Um, that's a little more complicated. So the guys who did full stack and transferred over to data analytics, um you'll be able to attest to how much more complicated C, C++, Java, JavaScript, and all of that is. We're not doing anything in terms of programming languages, all right, or programming per se. What we use Python for will be analytics, so Matplotlib, Seaborn, those types of libraries is what we use. Pandas will be another. So we will be creating charts, we will be doing simple tables and deriving insights and recommendations from that. So no programming whatsoever. Okay? So don't freak out and be like, "Oh, mentor, we can't do this." You can and you will. Okay? It's really easy compared to SQL. So moving on, things like Python will use interpreters and compilers. Right? So this is what you will need to be able to take your source code and be able to execute it and have it come out on your screen. So the diagram shows actually the entire pathway for the process, no? So it's like your event outlining when you're onboarding for a platform or a product, it's the same thing. So these are the differences between Python and all the other languages. So you do have your general purpose, interpretability, cross platform, syntax libraries, object oriented approach, and community and resources. The most important part of this as new learners to the platform and the language will be the community and the resources. All right. So the more we get into block 4, the easier it's going to be to learn Python altogether compared to SQL, to a certain degree compared to Sheets and Excel, and most definitely easier than Power BI or any sort of BI platform. Okay. So we actually got, for the most part, the hardest platforms done between blocks 1 and 3. So now we're just, you know, chilling and learning a very important language that you can use if you want to diversify your skill set within IT. Okay. Because let's go back a couple of slides. You see how much overlap Python has within the chart? You're looking at web development, AI, ML, and data science. You can go into cybersecurity. You can go into embedded systems, Internet of Things, and blockchain technology if you want to do that. Right? So there's so much benefit to learning something as simple as Python. And everybody that has had some gamut of experience within IT will actually tell you that Python is a really good first place to start. Then you can branch out into uh, JavaScript, Java, C, C++, C Sharp if you want to go into that. So here is a bar chart of the 2023 Stack Overflow Developer Survey, right? And as you can see, JavaScript is the highest with 63.61%, followed by HTML and CSS, which is your full stack guys, then Python, then SQL, right? So it's a good thing we're finished with SQL already. Then you have your TypeScript, Bash and Shell, Java, C Sharp, C++, and then C. Okay. So if you guys want to plan out your skill sets within IT for programming languages, those are the top 3. So concentrate on JavaScript, HTML, CSS, and we're going to be tackling the analytical part of Python. So shameless plug for the full stack course for Go IT if you want to do that. It's 10 months of learning JavaScript and HTML, which, if you go back to the diagram that we did for the applications, that's almost every niche within IT that uses a programming language. Clear so far, guys? Any questions? None? Okay. So this is a line chart of each of the languages over a span of several years, starting from 2014 all the way up to 2022. So you can see that JavaScript maintained the number one spot for so long, like eight years. Python started in number four, but went up to number two in about 2019 and maintained the number two spot until 2022. Then you have Java, TypeScript, and then C Sharp, C++, and the other languages in the bottom. So this gives you an indication of what to focus on in terms of the languages. All right. It's not suggested that you learn all of them. That's why I'm telling you guys to pick a specialization and stick with that. Okay. So if you want to do Python and JavaScript, then you can do that, or you can combo it with at least C Sharp or Java and then JavaScript and then Python. Okay. All right. So these are reasons why Python is so popular. And one of the reasons here is, well, that's not listed, is that it's the easiest to learn. You at least get a good understanding of Python. All the other languages are fairly easier to learn at that point. Syntaxes will change here and there for functions and all of that, which is pretty common across all of the platforms within IT. Because each platform will have its own uses, different developers, so on and so forth. Um, One of the slightly harder things to do with Python is data transformation and cleaning. You need to have a really good understanding of the data set that you're working with. So one of the tips that was given to me when I was studying is, for the most part, you're still using the CSV files for your data sets. So it will be a good idea to open it up in Excel. So this can be part of your general data prep habits. Take a look at the data set in Excel, study it already so that when you put it up into Python, it will be easier for you to clean. If the task list specifically needs you to clean the data in Python. So use Excel as a means of familiarizing yourself with what the data set contains so that you know what to clean and how to clean it. Okay. So that's just one of the things that I wanted to give you a heads up about Python. Almost everything else from number 2 to 6, it's fairly easy to do it with Python. You just need a lot of keyboard time and get used to the language of Python altogether. So for machine learning and deep learning, this is a particular skill set that requires a little more studying. So we're not expecting you to be able to get that within the course. We don't have enough time to do that. However, um, like what I said with one of the pros of learning on Python first, the resources and the community is so big. You'll actually be able to learn machine learning and deep learning fairly quicker than you would compare to, let's say, SQL or business intelligence. So one of the platforms that you're going to be using is what we call a Jupyter notebook. Now, Jupyter notebooks are basically an open resource type of platform. So it's literally free to use and free to download. You don't have to pay for anything. And it can execute all of these bullets. So, well, not really execute. What I mean to say is it excels in interactivity, visualization of results, extensive reporting options, or exporting options rather, and collaboration. The collaboration part is one of the reasons why Google created its own Jupyter notebooks, and it's called um, Google Collaboratory. I will be showing you guys how to use that a little later. But it is one of the main platforms that you can use because you can use it in your browser absolutely free. Since you guys mostly have um, Gmail email addresses or Google accounts, like I said, it's free to use. It's really easy. So the demo, I'll do that after the break. We'll just do all of the theory first. Okay. Now, variables in Python. This is actually also covered in the guide materials within LMS for topic 1. But we're just going to go over all of them really quickly. So here, the identifier for a value will always be equals. All right. So strings will need to be in quotation marks, single quotation marks, not double. Okay. You might get a syntax error with that. Numbers are just going to be written as is, as well as Boolean. So your true or your false. Right. So you notice the formatting here. There's always a space that divides the equal sign from the values. And that just makes it so that it's easier to read. You'll understand when I'll pull up Google Collaboratory and how nakakadokling it is if you don't have the proper spacing. All right. So again, numbers written as is, strings, single quotation mark, and anything Boolean, true or false, just written as true or false. Now, your data types. It's actually going to be a lot less. compared to the others, especially SQL. So you still have your integers, which is int, floating point numbers, which is still your point. I mean your float. Strings, which is represented as str, and logical is bool or short for boolean. And none will be an empty value. Not null, hindi uso ang null dito. Okay, so usually when it's none, then that's an empty value. We'll take a break later. Maaga pa. Questions so far? We're good? Okay. All right. So this is what a sample of your commands can look like. So print, open close parenthesis, double quotation mark, hello space world, exclamation point, then close parenthesis. When you execute this, it will actually just print out hello world under the code box. And you've successfully just used Python. Now, the second line is name equals input, and then open close parenthesis asking what's your name, and that's enclosed within double quotation marks. This is now what you would have when you're talking or chatting with a bot on Messenger, or like chatting with a bot on Slack or Discord, where you have a selected range of what you can input or what it asks you. On the code level, this is how the code of that is written. So name equals input. This will allow you as the end user to input the answer to the question, what's your name? So it can be more complex or it can be a lot simpler than that. Depends on your application. Now, your numeric operators. This will be in LMS. So you don't need to screenshot this. But if you want to, go right ahead. So you still have your addition, subtraction, and division. But you also have your exponents, integer division, and remainder of division. Now, why do you have these three other operators specifically? Again, it would really depend on your application of what you're using the code for. But because you remember the other applications, like blockchain and all of that, you will need the bottom three for these numeric operators. Okay. So let's say for addition, 2 plus 2, please take note the spacing between the numbers and the operator. That is important because sometimes if you put everything together, it makes it harder to read it. So you might get called out by the more experienced guys that you're working with or what may have you. So when you execute the code, 2 plus 2, the result underneath the code box will be 4. And so on and so forth. Now your comparison operators, equal to will be two equal signs. Not equal to is exclamation point equal. And so on and so forth. These are actually almost the same as SQL. So the same way that you would apply it in SQL, More or less same banana here in Python. Because Python was used to develop SQL. So you're going to see some similarities there. Okay, so that should be enough time for the screenshotters. Now, your logical operators. And or not, is not, in, not in. Okay. So you would normally use this if you want to test your AB, or if you want to test a hypothesis within your analysis. You would use these logical operators. Or if you need to analyze multiple points of data within your data set, you will be applying logical operators. Again, this is all in LMS, so we're not going to dwell on it too much, right? Assignment operators. So this will basically help you when you are dealing with more complex programming. You can also use this in analytics. Can't think of examples right off the top of my head at this point in time. But again, this is an LMS, so you don't really need to dwell on it too much. However, you may find yourself using assignment operators. And if you do, the description is here. The description is also an LMS. And if you need a little more help understanding it, you let me know. Or Christine, so that we can do a one-on-one session with you guys. Now, conditional execution. This is one of the nice things about Python as well. So when you guys are doing any sort of A/B testing or what may have you, um, this particular type of statement will just make sure that you will arrive at more or less the same point, but you will take different paths depending if it's true or not. But these could also have different end results depending on how the data is structured and how your process is structured. In terms of analytics, it's going to be a little more basic compared to actual full on programming. So the full stack guys can attest to that. Now, your instruction blocks. To a certain extent, this is like having multiple select statements in SQL. But if you indent and then add a space in between each instruction block, you're going to basically make it into a nested statement. So this sort of like behaves like CTE in SQL. More or less the same logic that you would follow. However, it is also quite easy to put this into a loop that will not end. So you have to be very careful with how you structure your statements, because if that happens, that it goes on to into a perpetual loop that can either crash your system. Yeah, that's the worst. It'll crash your system. And we don't really want that. So you can see here that you need to be able to define first what X is and what Y is. And then you'll be able to go into greater detail with each block or with each statement, depending on how deep you want the levels to go. So if you look at a really long, complicated script, don't get shocked with how the indentation will just move all of the script towards the right, and then it can come back to the left, and then veer off to the right a bit, and then back to the left. So it's going to look like a bit of a zigzag. Okay. That is very common in Python. So when you guys look at references online, it will be actually easier to read than SQL to a certain extent because the formatting's a lot simpler to do. Okay, so auto check. This particular block will now introduce auto checks. And with that, takes place of your homework that you would normally have with the blocks that we've been doing so far. Still fairly early, so we won't take a break yet. Okay, so let me just reload this. Okay, so I will show you actually how to do the first auto check so that you're familiar with it. So this is auto checking under topic 1, do block 4, and you'll come to this. Um, Miraculously, it has been edited or translated into English just in the nick of time. So you don't need to do any sort of translation. So there will be a theory part, which is all of this. Then you have the task, what you need to do, and an editor to do it in. Now, you'll see up here, assignment 1 of 11. So you have to do 11 auto checks for topic 1. The system is actually going to do all of the checking for you. So I am not going to be involved for topic 1 and topic 2, or homework 1 and homework 2. And I'll be announcing the structure of the homeworks a little later. But so this is your editor. And let's go down to the bottom. So your task is to create a variable name and set it to your name, and create a variable age and give it your age. So how you do that is string, or rather single quotation mark. So when you press the single quotation mark on your keyboard, it'll actually populate both, and you can type within the string or within the quotation marks to make it a full blown string. So that's your name. Go down and oops. Okay. So that's it. I gave it a name, and I gave it the age, which is the task. So when you're done with all of that, click on checkout, and you will get two check marks. If any of these two check marks becomes a red X, then you have to redo the code on top. But let's say you get two check marks like this, your checkout goes on to the next assignment. Cool? Are we understanding it so far? It's really simple, guys. Knowing some of you here, you'll probably finish this in one sitting. Okay? So that's how to do your auto check. So topic 1 and topic 2 will be using auto checks. Um, topic 3 will actually not have any homework. And then homework that you would need to submit the traditional way that we've been doing it so far will be homeworks 4, 5, and 6. All right? Clear? So this will be a walkthrough for all of you for homework 1 and 2. I would suggest that you really make the time to do this. You can actually breeze through Python um, without really having to sweat as much. Because like I said, kanina, ton of resources. And it's fairly easy. I mean, you just have to make sure that you remember to put strings within single quotation marks and actual values that you want to print in double quotation marks. That's usually one of the few things you have to remember. And the numbers, wrote it as is. Okay. What will an error look like? So let's do this. Okay. Oh, so it's not a red check mark, it's a red dash. So the age variable must be an integer. Okay. And what it's citing is that I enclosed it in a double quotation mark. So if I remove the double quotation mark, then check out again, it's telling me that the code is running and the task was successfully completed. Okay, so if you guys are still having a bit of a challenge understanding data types, I suggest you really review it because you will need to be very definite with your data types within Python. Questions? So your next assignment is this. Here is your theory. Here is a quick copy of your operators and your symbols. Here's an example of an operation. And here is your task. So your rate is already provided. You just need to compute for the value and the payment. Okay, I'm not going to do this anymore because that's your homework, not mine. Okay, question so far, guys? Clear naman? Alrighty. So 8:45, take a 15-minute break, water, pee, whatever you guys want to do. And I'll see you back here at 9 o'clock. Hey guys. Okay. Um, Let me just pull up 1 minute lang guys. I'm just signing in Anaconda, which is one of the platforms that you guys can use. So there are two main platforms. Anaconda's like dbeaver. So it's like a centralized um, platform that's free to download and free to use for the most part. And one of the nice things lang about Anaconda is that the Jupyter notebooks plus all of the libraries that you would need are already installed. So when you are going to um, install this, you have to make sure you have about 5 gigs free on your system. Kasi it's a lot of information that it's going to install. The installer is almost about a gig. So that may take a little bit of time for you to download. Let me just finish signing in now. So you'll um, just input even your personal email address. That's fine. You can create an account, a free account with that for Anaconda. So let me just, while we're waiting for that, I'm going to show you Google Collaboratory. So this is your basic interface for Google Collaboratory. You guys go over to LMS. There's a link here for Google Colab or just Colab as it's commonly referred to. And when you click on this, once you go through the sign in process and all of that, you'll come out. So your table of contents, files that you're working on, um, secrets is more of like variables and file paths and all of that. So your variables can be stored here, and if you need to look for or replace anything, then you can do it here. But for the most part, you're just going to be on the main uh, interface. So over here, this will tell you that you're focusing on this particular cell. This will give you your random access memory in your this readouts. And here on this side will be everything you need to perform an action within this particular cell. Okay. Now, if you notice, if we hover on top or hover on the bottom, we can add another cell for coding, or we can also add the text box where you can define what the cell will contain here in the bottom. If you want to delete that, just click the garbage can on the actions. That let's put it here. Double click to edit or press enter. And let's just type. Okay. So now, if you leave the text cell, it's automatically going to print the way that it did, right? So now, like what it said here, we're going to print hello world, right? So to run this, you just have to press the play button or the run cell button. Run it, and there's your hello world. So if you're able to do this, congrats, you just successfully used a version of um, a Jupyter notebook. Okay, so it'll tell you that it was successfully run, how long it took, and completed at what time. Okay, so if you're running multiple cells, you'll have to click on the run cell button every time that you load the page or refresh the page. Okay, so if you're running a series of cells all together, and let's say you're coming back to the work because everything is automatically saved, you'll have to press the run cell button on each of the cells to make sure that all the data runs if they're all interconnected until the very bottom, so that you'll be able to continue working from there. Okay? So let's add another code box. Now, let's try to do what was on the slide. And run this. Okay. So now it's going to give you your autofill, right? Kasi we added input. So you type that in. There you go. That's how this particular code is going to look. Okay. Like I said, it's really easy. A hell of a lot easier than SQL. Clear so far? Questions? Ano naman? All right. Um, in terms of what is on LMS, I can't really go through all of it because that's your homework. But these are the really basic examples based just on the slides that we used, Kanina. So that's your Google Collaborator. Now, for your assignments from homework 4 to homework 6, if you guys want to use Google Colab, that's fine. You just have to be able to save the file. There. So if you click on the two person, it's going to allow you to copy the link, anyone with the link, and just set it to editor. Copy link like you would for Google Sheets, and then that is the link that you're going to send in LMS, right? So that's if you're using Google Column. Let me just double check. Eh, tapos na yung ano ko. Okay. Now, since Anaconda's finished, it will take you less than 30 minutes to do the whole download and install process. But if your net is a little slow, might take you a little long. Okay. So again, the installer is about 1 GB, and the file size itself that will be installed will be about 5 GB. So just make sure you have the space for it. When you go into LMS, there is a link here which will take you to the official page for Anaconda. Now, the nice thing about this is it will actually auto detect your operating system. So it automatically gave me Windows because I'm running a Windows system. However, if it does not do that, which I doubt it won't, you can scroll all the way down and you have all of your installers. Okay. So if you're running Windows, there's only one, 904. So it's almost about a gig. Then you have your Mac and you have your Linux. So these are some of the open source packages that it has and the specific genres that it caters to. So your AI and machine learning, this is this in the bottom. Yan. So this is all machine learning. So you remember what I did in Google Colab? Name equals input, and then giving it a string value within double quotation marks and open close parenthesis. This is what it looks like within a user interface. So let's say you want to get started. So that's our input. and yeah, hopefully it will process. And it's not. That's fine. But that's what the AI and machine learning looks like. So for data analysis per se, it's data exploration, transformation, and visualization that we're going to be focusing. Yeah. So pandas, numpy, matplotlib, seaborn, those are the usual libraries that we use. So these are your libraries. So your Jupyter notebook. Then you got numpy for your numbers, pandas for your formulas, matplotlib for your charts. Okay, so that's what it's going to look like for the download page when you click on the link. There is also a cloud version or a cloud site for Anaconda. And this is what it looks like. So if you want to learn everything about Jupyter Notebooks, it's under this section. Working with Python, it's under this section. So you can see it 43 items. And you can actually go through all of the other items that are here. Well, data visualization, that's very important. But yeah, that's your cloud. Let me just pull up the Anaconda itself. So this is your navigator. Once you've been able to complete the onboarding process, it will bring you in here once you're able to sign in and successfully installed everything. So you have PyCharm Professional. So this is used for a whole boatload of things, but specifically HTML, JavaScript, and SQL. You can use it here. But we will be focusing on the notebook. So just look for the Jupyter notebook and launch that. And just wait for it to process. It takes a bit of time. So it's going to open the browser. And this is your landing page. Click on new and then notebook. Wait for it to load. So leave it on Python 3. Select that. And here is your terminal. So it looks kind of the same, um, just a lot less on the side. They concentrated everything here on the top. So let's type in some code. So your our run is going to be here on top. There you go. Hello world. So it's not separated like Google Colab where you have the cell box and then the um, outcome will just print in the bottom. Here it's a little more streamlined. So we'll just run the code again just to give you guys yeah. Shift enter is also a shortcut for the run. There you go. So it is as simple as that. So this is cell one, this is cell two, cell three, cell four, cell five, so on and so forth. The more that you go into this, the more lines that you produce. So you guys can discover all of this. You can add cell by doing that as well. Delete it. You can also add the cell on top, add the cell on the bottom, and go up the cells, or rather rearrange them or add. So there's a lot that you can do. So Jupyter was the original notebook program that I can remember, and then Google Colab was developed when Google actually became a thing. Any questions so far, guys? That's really the demo for the most part.
For this one, for example, ito yung gagamitin namin. How can we send it to you as a homework?
Ano yun, Carl?
How can we send it to you as a homework if ito yung gagamitin namin?
Sorry, naghang yung system ko, Carl. Wait lang ah. Ernesto, nakalimutan mo yung oh, where are you getting this error? I'll get back to you, Ernesto. Sorry, Carl, what's your question again?
Ah, yung ano lang mentor, so for example, ito yung gagamitin namin. How can we send it to you as a homework?
Okay, good question. Let me see if I can remember. Because you'll have to save this manually. Checking the down. Here. Sorry. Save and export notebook as. And you are going to. I will actually double check lang really quick because this is a new version. And I have not opened Jupyter since I studied Gnome repo. I'll post it, Carl, hopefully by tomorrow. If you're going to use Anaconda via the Jupyter Notebook.
Sige, sige mo.
But like I said, um, either Anaconda or Google Collaboratory, either or. It's easier to share in Google Collaboratory, so we can use that instead. Okay. So you need to refresh. Nice. Good job, Marisi. See, it's really easy. I mean, like comparing to SQL. So it's a good thing we got all of the hard ones done before we jumped into this. So I promise your brains are not going to melt that much. Any other questions, guys? That's pretty much it. Um, I I don't have anything else I need to show you guys. Nada? Is it zero? So are we clear with the auto checks? That's going to be self-paced, guys. Huh? Okay. So again, once you open up topic one, just go to the auto checking. Because I'm done with one, it loaded two. But you have all the way until 11, right? Now, if you get the red dash, meaning that there's something wrong with one of your input, you have to fix it. The only time that it's going to allow you to proceed to the next one is when it's fixed. And you get both the green check boxes. Okay. So that will be the homework for topic one and topic two. Again, topic three has no homework. See? No homework. But topic three will basically go over all of your 9 libraries for the most part. But no homework for topic three. So it will be for topic four. See, you'll have your homework here again. So there is the Stack Overflow survey. That's going to be your data set. So it's either Jupyter or Google Colab. Again, just for the ease of use, And if you guys don't have enough space to download Anaconda, just use Google Colab. But make sure that when you're using something like Google Colab, you try to close all of the or as much of the background processes as possible. Kasi si Python, it doesn't show it here, but Python is very intensive in terms of the RAM and disk space for the most part because it has to cache the information. So try to close as much of your background processes as possible if you're using any sort of notebook. So if you're using the Jupyter notebook, just submit the .ipynb file or the link in Google Colab. So you just have to answer the 8 questions. Actually, do the bonus questions na rin. So you're going to be submitting 10. So that's 10 cells. Madali lang naman yun. So one of the things that you can do to make your life easier, I will give you guys a little bit of preview. No, Marisi. The link that's provided for in LMS goes directly to the data set that you'll be using. So you're not going to be choosing anything there. It's provided for directly already. I'll show you how easy it is to answer the homework. So when you guys are going to be using something like ChatGPT to help you out with the code, no? This is how it's going to answer you. This is how it's going to format the answer to your task list. So we'll just let that ano, load up. So you see how I did it? I just literally copied all of the questions. Okay. So this first part is going to tell you what libraries you're going to need. So import pandas as PD, import numpy as NP. This particular code is load your data, is telling you how you're going to load the .csv file once you download it. So the first question is how many respondents took the survey? This is the code that you're going to run, so on and so forth. Now, you guys are going to need to also give the information in terms of definition of terms so that it knows what um, columns you're working with within the data set, what type of data type um, that particular column is set to, so that it can give you more detailed answers. But that's pretty much it. So you can actually copy this, paste it in Google, in the cell for Google Colab, and it will run it. You can do this in one entire cell. Or if you'd like, you can chop it up. So do all of your importing first, and then your loading of the data set in another cell, and another cell, and another cell, so on and so forth. Okay, pretty clear, guys? This is one of the reasons why I breezed through my Python module in Refocus in less than a week. I finished the whole thing in less than a week. And we have 6 topics, so we only have 3 weeks for this particular block. So if it's this easy to generate answers, I don't think it should be that hard for you to become current with your homeworks for block 3. Okay, sorry, Marisi, wait lang. Let me just take a look at what you posted. Just click on ano, download full data set, the very first one. The past years lang naman is labeled as for that particular year. But we want the current one, so it's gonna be the very top. Download full uh data set CSV. Okay. Alrighty. So any other questions, guys? None? We're good? Okay. So if we're gonna stick to the schedule, so the next live session's tomorrow night. So hopefully Christine's gonna be okay already. If not, it's gonna be me again, who's gonna do topic 2. Okay. So just wait for the announcement on Slack for the next live session for topic 2. If you guys want to start doing the auto checks already for um, for topic 1, then go right ahead. Get it done already. Because I'm telling you guys, once you get started, it's a little hard to stop, especially when you can see that your progress is fairly fast. One thing lang with Python, um, memorize your libraries so that you know what to import. It can be in any order, it doesn't have to be a specific order, but just have to make sure that when you import pandas, it's going to be PD. Um, and all of the others. But just have a good understanding of what the code looks like and what it generally does. It will be a lot easier to learn than SQL. Okay, Ducks? Cool. No other questions? See you guys in the next live session. Babu?